UN's chemical weapons investigation is officially underway. A team led by Swedish arms expert Åke Sällström is charged with finding out if chemical agents have been deployed in the bitter civil war. But as our United Nations correspondent Stephen Fee reports, that investigation may be too little, too late.
Instructed not to speak to the media, inspectors arrived over the weekend to begin their two-week mission. Disagreements over access delayed their arrival for months, but at UN headquarters, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the investigation will yield results.
Under any circumstances, whatever the reasons may be, use of chemical weapons is a violation of international law and international human rights law. Thus, must be those whoever might have used should be accountable.
But accountability isn't in their mandate. Indeed, the chemical weapons inspectors are there to find out whether chemical agents were used, but not who used them. And while the UN has pressed for full and unfettered access, the probe is only going to cover 3 sites, 2 of which remain undisclosed. And finally, questions remain about the efficacy of an investigation taking place in the middle of a war zone.
Frankly, this investigation is not going to have very much impact.
UN analyst Richard Gowan says this investigation should have happened much sooner.
Earlier in the year, there was still a belief, although a faint belief, that if you had strong evidence of regime use of chemical weapons, that might lead to Security Council action or a Western intervention. It's become clear over the last few months that that is simply not the case, that Western countries are not going to intervene in Syria, even if there is very clear evidence of chemical weapons use.
Gowan also says Russia and the U.S., which have taken opposite sides in the conflict, could draw very different conclusions.
This investigation is important because it is a sign that the UN still cares, and the UN Secretariat has been right to pursue the investigation, but the results are going to be limited.
The Secretary General says he hopes this investigation will deter the future use of such weapons, and with violence still raging, that might be the best the UN can hope for. Stephen Fee, CCTV at the United Nations in New York.